So happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to our bi-weekly Eastside Regional Action Plan meeting where we discuss impacts of homelessness on the east side of Santa Barbara. I see one or two names I don't recognize in the meeting today. So if you would just introduce yourselves in the chat window, just so we're all familiar with who everyone is and who you might work for. I think that'll go a long way. I also wanted to share, so we started this with our last East Side Rep meeting, but we're kind of flipping the order of how we do things. We're going, after I do a couple general announcements, we'll start with the questions and concerns from the community so that way it can help kind of guide our conversation with our homeless outreach providers and our code enforcement. So if you are a community member, we encourage you to be thinking now about things you might want to share. I know a couple of you had emailed before anyway, so I have a couple of things that I can share. But we'll start with some general announcements. So our next meeting is 2 weeks from today on the 5th. I did want to note earlier this month, for those of you who might have missed it, we had our all-call meeting, which was for the whole South County Collaborative that this City of Santa Barbara initiative is a part of. Love for you to check out the website at sbac.org/AOH so you can learn a little bit more about the broader collaborative work that includes Goleta and Carpinteria. You can also watch the recording from that all-call meeting there. And then there you can also read up a little bit more on our goals for the first year of this initiative anyway. We're really focusing on trying to address behavioral health, starting with the top 15 kind of high acuity behavioral health individuals in South Santa Barbara County and helping them to get to better solutions. We're trying to address vehicular homelessness and specifically trying to work on RVs because that's becoming more and more of a concern throughout the entire South Coast region. And then just also public narratives about homelessness and making sure people are understanding who to call, when to call, just understanding the issue better, understanding what solutions there are, and that kind of thing. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about that now, but I do encourage you to check that out, and please feel free to reach out to us if you have questions. We do have coming up our Planning Commission meeting for the approval of the Homelessness Daytime Navigation Center in downtown Santa Barbara. So this is a new initiative that we're really excited about, that the city has signed a lease for a building in downtown on Chapala Street. That will be a daytime space where people who are experiencing homelessness can go during the day. They can receive services to move forward in their housing, move forward with behavioral health concerns. Also, they can just get assistance with healthcare, employment assistance, and a variety of other resources. So we're very excited about it, but it does need to go through the Planning Commission for approval before we can open as an official drop-in center. Barbara, do you want to say anything else about this while I have you on the call?
I just put the notice of development that has been distributed to the neighbors in the region in advance of the public hearing. So it provides mechanisms both for showing up in person for public comment, mailing in public comment, as well as emailing public comment. So for those of you who aren't familiar, public comment is published as part of the Planning Commission hearing process. And so if it's received by the Tuesday before the Thursday of the hearing, it will be published for everyone to see. Critically important that we have a level of support in those public comments, as well as those folks who can actually show up the day of. There is another agenda item on that same day, so we'll know next week if we're the first item on the agenda or the second.
So please help us out by writing in. We need all the support we can get. All right. So with that, we'll start with some community member concerns, and then afterwards we'll hear from our homeless outreach providers. We'll talk to code enforcement, meet a new member of their team as well. I'll start with just an email we'd gotten from a community member still concerned about that 106 North Milpas Street that has the individual sleeping on it. In the past, I believe we've talked about that this is an issue because the property owner themselves is not open to enforcement. So I just wanted to check on that and see if there's any updates on that property.
Joelle, I thought they had a police authority authorization letter for their to address trespassing, but I think it's trying to mitigate the fact that people are frequenting that property. we can't really mitigate more than what we've been doing because it's a private property, correct?
That is correct. Yes, we've tried in several attempts to contact the homeowner and bring up these issues, but he's very unresponsive to us. But you're correct. The individual does have a letter of authority, but again, it is private property.
We'd love to rent it out for him, but apparently we can't facilitate that.
Thank you.
He's not very responsive because I've talked to the CPA next door. I'm sorry, this is Jesse.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've had that conversation with him numerous times, and he just said, you're going to hit a brick wall.
Is that in reference to the property owner, you mean?
Yeah, it's in reference to the property
Okay.
that's right next to him, because he tried contacting him and reaching out to him numerous times, but they're not very receptive.
Okay.
So, and there's really not much you guys can really do other than make him move along.
The other issue this community member had raised, or not, it's not an issue, but it's just naming. There's an individual who has been sleeping in one of the trash can enclosures at the old Wells Fargo property on Milpa Street. And so I'll make sure that they add that into the SB Connect app, but just wanted to note that since it's in their email. Yeah, and I see Joao put the SB Connect app link in the window there. So for all community members, actually, Joao, do you want to just share briefly?
Yes, actually, I would like to introduce our new code enforcement officer. You guys met Andrew Crutch in the last meeting. I would like to introduce Brian Watson. He will be another code enforcement officer joining our team. And I would also like to say I am stepping away, taking a new role with the city. So this will be my last meeting. And I wish I can say we got 2 code enforcement officers to fill my shoes, but the the reason is we want to have more boots out on the floor. So I put the link in the description. If you have any concerns, any issues, we have 2 new code enforcement officers out there. Brian, please introduce yourself.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Hopefully you can all hear me. Yes, I'm Brian. I'm from Santa Cruz originally. I just moved to town last week, actually. I'm a former ranger. I was a ranger in Santa Cruz for 17 years. Originally, I was with Parks and Rec, the city of Santa Cruz Parks and Rec. Well, originally, I was with the state of California. I was a state park ranger, went through the academy, and then went on to city of Santa Cruz Parks and Rec for 7 years, and then spent the last 9 years working with the water department as a park ranger in Santa Cruz. So I've got a lot of experience with creeks and river protection, watershed protection, riparian area protection, and the lab part of it. I have some experience as well as a lot of enforcement experience. So I'm really happy to be here in Santa Barbara and hope to do a really excellent job just cleaning up the city and just hopefully just keeping this beautiful city just looking as beautiful as always.
Thanks, Brian.
It seems about right that we would need 2 people to replace Joao. So I just want to say thank you, Joao, publicly. I think you know how much we appreciate you, but you have absolutely set the expectation really, really high in terms of responsiveness, prioritization, working in a collaborative manner. And so again, thank you so much for all that you've dedicated to this work since you came to the city.
Thank you, Barbara, and thank you, everyone.
Yeah, we'll miss you, Joao, but welcome, Brian, and welcome, Andrew. So let's continue with community concerns and questions. The other one that we had received an email about was just some concerns about increased drug activity and encampments on Cacique Street. It looks like it had gotten better for a period, and then some concerns that maybe there was an uptick again. So I just wanted to raise that, and I think we can talk more about that. But other community members have any other questions or concerns to share?
I have
I
a
do.
question. Oh, sorry, Jesse, you want to go ahead?
No, go ahead, Jet. Go ahead.
It's not quite homelessness related, and it's always addressed super quickly if I put it on SB Connect, but there just seems to be an uptick in graffiti on the east side. And the city is amazing at responding. I mean, there was some on the sidewalk. I put it in SB Connect. It was gone in 2 days. Incredible response. But I'm wondering like what the root cause or what you're all seeing at the city that could be that increase in graffiti. I know it's not homelessness related. It's just something that I've noticed, and this seemed like a good group to ask it to.
Mayor Corbett can probably address this, but we are seeing an uptick in graffiti across the
Yeah.
city. There's some activity happening in terms of the east side and west side gang affiliations. And SB Connect is the appropriate channel for you to report it, so we can be as responsive as possible. We actually had, this is part of a conversation with our neighborhood improvement task force about making sure that we are responsive and cleaning up, because we know if it's not cleaned up, it tends to increase to the activity in that particular area as well. But Commander Corbett, anything to add to that?
Yeah, just a little bit. You know, I do know as I step into this role, I have heard about an uptick in graffiti, and not a significant amount. I am happy to hear that it gets cleaned up so quickly. Sometimes I do think there is a misunderstanding, and that oftentimes people think that all graffiti is gang related and graffiti, which it is not. We certainly know, and our teams that work in that area know which are monikers and which are gang activity and which is just tagging for tagging's sake. And so I can't say specifically that it's an uptick and has to do with gang graffiti or any gang activity. But I do know there's been some reports. So I can look into that and report on it next time. But I do know I've heard a couple of reports of just, you know, people seeing graffiti, reporting it being cleaned up fairly quickly, which is very important to dissuade any further, you know, graffiti issues. I'm taking notes on this as I step into this role, so I appreciate everybody's patience as it relates to things like graffiti, you know, or the Milpas issue, or the, you know, possible increased drug activity. And so this is something that, you know, I will spend some time working on, and then work with Barbara Headland and on as I get up to speed in this role. But thank you so much.
Thank you. So then can we go to Jesse, and then we'll go to Mayor Rouse?
Yeah. Sorry, I'll just make this real quick. You know, as being over here on the east side and with the Cacique and the Canada Bridge, there has been a lot more graffiti over there, and I will say it is gang related, because they put their east side, west side signia all over the bridge. And yeah, they are coming in cleaning it. It's a occurring problem. And I've noticed that the little hooligans have been more active in the creek over here, doing their drug deals and getting high. And then also, like it was a little over a week ago, I guess there was I missed it when I came in to the park. I guess there was a fight out there. So it has been escalated over here on the east side. So yeah, it's just, it has not, like you said, it was calmed down for a little while, but now it's acting up again. And I know at one point the city did put a camera on the light of the entrance of our park to monitor the creek and the bridge, but I was wondering, is anybody monitoring that? Is anybody dealing with that, or do you not have the manpower? That's my one question.
Commander Corbett here. So I'm sorry, you were talking about a camera. Are you referring to, is anybody monitoring the camera, or from a law enforcement perspective, you know, are we over there? So I didn't understand your last part of your question.
Well, the city had put a camera up there on the light. Someone from the parks, or not, or someone from the city put it there. And I don't know who monitors it. But it's on the light pole, the entrance to the Flamingo Mobile Home Park. It was put there maybe a couple of years ago, a little over a year ago or so, because it was so bad over here at one point. But I don't think anybody's doing anything with it. And I was kind of curious about that, because my neighbor who lives up front discussed, I can't remember who he discussed it with, but they ended up putting it out there. So I don't know if anybody's monitoring it, or What?
Yes, Jesse, that camera was put up at the streets department, and it doesn't monitor for that sorts of activity. They're actually monitoring for the maintenance of the bridge, the trash cans, and the area. But that's
Okay.
what that camera is there for.
Well, I know they put a fake one up there too with a red light. It says this area is being watched by security or whatever, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's becoming another hotspot again, and it's really sad because the elderly people that live in this park, a lot of them are afraid when they go out to walk their dogs or they go walk, they see them hanging out there, they see them sitting on that irrigation box. They'll turn around and they go back in the park. So it's really sad.
Thank you. Thanks for raising that.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. I do know that our CAT team, our community action team, is on bikes and makes regular patrols in the area, but I will double check to make sure that they're spending time there and multiple times a day, going through. So I appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
All right, thank you.
We've
Let's go to
seen
Mayor
an
Rouse.
increase in gang activity here as well, and actually had one of our guests assaulted by gang members last weekend. And so we're definitely being vigilant about that as well, because we want to make sure we're paying attention with the increase in gang activity also leading to then, the increase in predatory behavior and drug sales to unsheltered people who are unsheltered.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more drug use and inappropriate behavior and mental instability. And it's, they're blocking the driveway and, it's, our drivers are starting to complain about it. So definitely need to, once the police presence is there, it does help. So Cassie, I do appreciate the ongoing support. I haven't seen the bike cops out in the last couple weeks. And it does help. I know that they were here a couple days ago and there was they went to that blue van that's on Nopalitos that is a suspected van. And I think 6 people came out of the van, that obviously were doing something illegal. So I do appreciate the ongoing presence and support because it's getting bad again.
Thank you, Susie.
Can
Yes.
we
Let's go to Mayor Rouse.
Oh,
Let's go to Mayor Rouse. He's had his hand up for a little while, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, real quickly, just a comment, then a question for Casey. Comment would be, what we've discovered is that letting people like Casey know, let Barbara know, or even calling in 911 is really, really, really important because these are hot spots. They get more patrol attention. The chief is very responsive when it comes to these things. I know Al Hortiz is somebody I call on all the time to go out and intervene in these situations. So it's important to let people know and not just say, yeah, I saw this 2 weeks ago. I mean, really go out there and report it. But the question I had actually was for Casey. Casey, on the graffiti, I know years ago we had a program where we had a digital photograph and file program going. I don't know that, of course, since they've kind of taken all this teeth out of all the laws, but we used to be able to identify certain graffitis, and then when we finally had enough and finally caught somebody, we were able to use that as evidence going forward to go after that particular group or person. Do we record these different graffitis anymore digitally?
Yes, Mayor, we still have files, we still have teams that know, when they see specific monikers and they see specific graffitis, they know who they belong to. So they are still capturing that information and, when possible, referring cases, for multiple cases that come along. And so we do have our teams that know who these, I'm going to say sometimes youth are and what monikers belong to what people. Sometimes, there's graffiti that's just graffiti and tagging that isn't necessarily moniker related, but sometimes it is. So we do still have those teams in place, and that information, captured. I appreciate you bringing that up.
So real quickly, again, on that, as we push for this final approval when it comes to the day or the navigation center, it's so important that we let our service providers know when we're having issues, where and when, because our reputation on the street is gonna be a positive or a negative when it comes to finally getting this conditional use permit to make this center go. And I strongly believe anyway, that this is gonna make for a better neighborhood and not be an attractive nuisance. I think it's gonna be a real service to all sides.
Thank you, Mayor Rouse. And then Jesse, did you have something?
Yeah, I think I might have asked this before. And I think somebody told me it might be a violation of people's rights, but isn't there, or is there a possibility that maybe you could have like a no loitering, like around path and stuff like that? Ordinance to probably eliminate all the gathering and the bad activity that goes on over there?
Well, it's come up a few times, so I'm not the attorney, but I have asked that question quite a bit. And a lot of those no loitering laws were considered unconstitutional back in the 90s after the Giuliani and Bratton, New York days. So you can have, there are certain restricted areas, but there's got to be a real reason. So if it's just a public sidewalk, that's not generally a real reason. It has to be a human health and safety violation. Barbara, you probably know more about this than me.
But it is
What do you think?
it is a health and safety violation. I mean, that
Well,
whole corridor.
You and I might think that, but it's a court of law going to think that. And I think those are two different animals. But Barbara, do you have a response for Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, our approach to these issues is to not write citations for low-level offenses like trespassing and loitering. Honestly, it doesn't deter behavior most of the time. We can give a warning and usually that's sufficient. It's not the strongest enforcement tool that we have available to us anyway. So I hear you, Jesse. We talked about trespassing and loitering offenses that we're observing and experiencing along other creeks throughout the city. But again, our approach is offering support services, shelter services. If there's illegal activities such as drug use and drug sales, of course, that enforcement is initiated by PD. But again, we're an unlawful sleeping. Again, we can't enforce because we don't have enough shelter beds. So there's a variety of things that we're bound by the law, but also just our approach in general is to make that a warning before a citation is issued.
Okay.
Thank you all. I appreciate the conversation. We are somewhat short on time, and I do want to give our service providers just a minute or two to share updates from their side as well. So is there any last comments from the community before we move to that? All right, so can we start with updates from our Good Samaritan outreach teams? I see Anais on the call.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. We made it. We are specifically in Santa Barbara, we are at a standstill. I'm currently not taking any new clients just because I'm a little short-staffed. So I am definitely working on our active caseload and just really working off that. We go to all of our sites, whether it is Alameda, the commuter lot, really, we're pretty inundated right now with a really large caseload. So for the past 2.5 weeks, that has been our main focus. I do have someone that's coming on soon, and I do have one position available. If you know someone that would like to be part of the stream team, please send them my way. And once that happens, we can definitely open this caseload a little bit more. But very general update today.
Thank you, Anais. And let's go to our PATH team.
Hello, everybody. This is Odin at PATH. I'm the outreach specialist. Just a little bit of an update from the last week. A lot of my outreach has been focused on, although I do have been hitting my required beats, Cabrillo, South Milpas, all of the underpasses. A lot of my focus so far has been solely on the encampments that have been popping up on Cacique Street. There's been a lot of activity so far. I mean, like a lot of activity so far. Together with me in the city nets, we've hit it on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, just slowly, enrolling people into and connecting people into different services. We actually managed to get one person off of the street and into shelter. Another one of those individuals well got into treatment out of the city, which was fantastic. But right now, our biggest concern right now is just the lack of shelter beds in general. Although we are that presence out on the street, able to give gentle reminders for folks to be able to, move out and away from the area. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is get them permanently off the roads and right off of this place so that they're not sleeping anywhere around the area. So it's just been, waiting on shelter beds, but, just assured that they are being connected with services. And when the next time that stuff like that does happen, an opening does happen, we'll be able to, facilitate that transfer. Some updates from my caseload. We actually did get 2 of my clients, one on the waterfront, another one here on Cacique Street, into an eligibility appointment for the housing authority. So fingers crossed we can permanently house some of those folks. We get some of those, get a little bit of pressure off of that area, and they can start rebuilding their lives and become reintegrated community, functioning members of society over that awaits. Yeah, just right now it's been a lot of work, a lot of work this last week, but I'm hoping to continue, keep on forward, especially with the new staff that City Net's bringing on as well. We are continuing to build rapport, get people document ready, and show people the services that are around. So that's the updates for outreach. And if anyone else on my team wants to bring something up, by all means.
Thank you, Odin.
I just add that
go
we
ahead, Liz.
did, from our last wrap meeting, we met with Natalia, who owns the boutique down up Milpas, who had mentioned that she would like our walks to cover a larger area. So we'll be circling back with more information to you, Landon, and Barbara and City Liz, with some of the information that she shared with us about areas that she would love to be covered on those walks. And something that she also brought up is that she would love for us to explore other times to hold these meetings that would make it easier for business owners to attend them. So I wanted to just bring that to this group as well.
Thanks, Liz. Maybe I'll follow up with you just to find out more about that. I see a hand raised from Andrew.
Yeah, thank you, Landon. I just wanted to comment while we were on the topic of Cacique Street right there. We have been working closely, hearing a lot from Susie about those issues in front of Marburg and the path area. We're working closely with the CAT team to address it. They've been in their truck much more frequently than the bikes, so keep an eye out for them in that truck. Thank you to Commander Corbett, for assisting us in coordinating those responses. But we are addressing the issue. We have made contact on a regular, more regular schedule to pass through the area, to post different encampments or personal belongings contacts. So it is on our radar, and we're going to do our best to make it a reoccurring a contact area. We also, as you were saying, Liz, we have been in contact with Natalia regarding more of her region of Milpas up there, working to address her issues and her concerns. So we are in direct contact and working through some of the litter and trash concerns that she has for that region. So just our update on some of those topics that have been spoken about so far.
Thanks, Andrew. And while we have you, is there any other updates from the code enforcement team to share just about the East Side more broadly?
More broadly than that, we've also been still focusing a lot of attention down on the Dwight Murphy Field area along Ninos Drive. That area has been pretty heavily impacted along Sycamore Creek there and under the 101. So we have been focusing a lot of energy on the encampments and individuals in that area. Um, Beyond that, Cacique has kind of been our main priority, and the overflow that has been going up onto Nopalitos. As Susie mentioned earlier, it's sort of starting to spread out within the area. So again, we're really going to try to make it a routine stop for us to dissuade individuals from loitering and making it a permanent spot. So.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. And then updates from our CityNet team.
Good morning, everyone. I had to step away for a minute to take care of something very important. But yes, with us, well, we provide our usual outreach and engagement with specific areas. I don't know exactly what I missed. I have a feeling I know some of the areas. And thank you, Andrew, first off, for just being able, welcome to the team and being able to have that communication with you. Just like we've always had with Joelle. I did receive, a couple pictures, which is I'm very thankful for. Pictures help out big time. From Natalie, just about some concerns over there in Nopalitos. I was immediately able to have our team go out there. They followed up twice at this point, and we were able to connect with Andrew so that I can get the follow-up for posting and try to engage with these individuals to be able to downsize that area, along with being able to coordinate how we can actually really get these folks to, accept services. There is a process, so it went from Natalie. Natalie was able to get it to us. Our team was able to get out there, make contact. If initial engagement wasn't very progressive, from there, let Andrew know, say, hey, we made it out there. It was on his radar. He's been in communication, with Natalie. And I know they made their follow-up. We did a secondary follow-up with them. Because how that works is it kind of puts that pressure on them, let them know, like, attention is in the area. It's not the greatest attention. This stuff will be cleaned up and removed. We don't want that to happen. What can we do to help you, not have this unnecessary attention, with what you guys are doing, because it's causing a concern in our community. And so the second engagement was a little bit better, but it gave us that point to be able to express to them of like, the process that happens and it's going through, and we want to stop that. So we are familiar with the, one of the individuals in the area, and going to be able to, hopefully help continue supporting them. And I know Andrew and the team, if there's anything after, any movement of that specific area, please let us know, because then we can do another follow-up, which is, I think, very important. We did some outreach out there at Dwight Murphy Park. Ran into some individuals that we were familiar with. Can't mention any names right now, that are engaged and do understand it is starting to, has populated to let them know, like, we need to start dispersing in the area. A while back, it was getting better, and it's kind of like a roller coaster, it goes up and down with the area. So we kind of let them know, it's starting to wind up again. We got to figure something out so that it doesn't continue. We are, and this is something for Pat, thank you very much, having more bed availability. And the good thing about the East Side, it happens to run into two of our contracts, which is the city of Santa Barbara, along with our surf contract. And so we are able to offer some shelter beds available. I believe right now, for that, we have 4 beds. Is that correct, Liz? I didn't check my update today, but I think there's either 3 or 4 beds, Herschel or Liz, if you have that. So we, just for the community to know, we are able to help individuals around that area, specifically on the Cacique and the bridge, railroad tracks around that area right now, to be able to get them into shelter. So we are pushing that as much as possible, because we want to be able to provide them a safe space.
the final update I have is we did have an individual that was, sleeping near the underpass. Was intoxicated, didn't seem to have any consciousness. So our team was able to like approach them and gently wake them up. And it was an individual that we had in shelter, which is some cases that happen. So we let them know, like, go back to your bed. And what we found out is that this was the 2-year passing of his mom. And that's where he kind of got intoxicated, left path, just was going through the motions. But it was a concern that was brought, to myself and the team. When we went to go check it out, we realized who it was, and we were able to get him safely back into path. So those are some circumstances, and from the community standpoint, they see, to see an individual that's out there, someone new in a certain area, but get it to us. That's how we're able to find out how this individual was. Got him some water, got him some food, kind of this, to listen to what was going on, why he was maybe in that state, completely understood what was doing, and then we got him back to a safe place. So I just want to end on that. Kind of how this process does work. And for this instance, it was very helpful for the community. We got the individual that was intoxicated off the street, got him into a safe space, and we're able to connect with them on the level to, show him that empathy and love that he needed at that time. That's it for me.
Thank you, Al. Appreciate that. And then Shannon had to drop off, but from the YMCA youth outreach team, she put just some notes in the chat about when they're doing outreach on the east side for youth experiencing homelessness. All right, that's it for our outreach check-ins. Are there any other final comments or questions before we close the meeting for community members today?
I just wanted to chime in, maybe Al, you can speak to this. I know there's a couple individuals that appear to be in wheelchairs on Cacique. Are they part of, have they been connected to you and or are they part of PATH?
I know one individual that's been a very high concern in the community that's on a wheelchair. It's happened. And just some good news of recent, it's been going on for a while with this individual just being able to get transportation and certain ways just because of having, needing wheelchair accessibility. But our team for this individual was able to help them, get them to the DMV and to get an ID, which restricts many other things, getting a social security card, doing those things. But just because of the necessary help. And our vehicles, we have just a regular van, so it's not one that's really wheelchair accessible, but we removed one of the chairs in the back, thankfully, picked it up, helped him get in. So I know for sure one of these individuals you'll probably see is enrolled with us, and we are providing services. And it's a very, very difficult case, which maybe the community is aware, but we made some significant progress recently. And I know the city was very happy about that, because it's been a high priority. So yes, Susie, and then I'll follow up with the team to see about the second one that you might be talking.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you, Susie, for continue sending the requests. They're greatly appreciated. And
yeah, I don't want to be a nag.
Oh no, you're not. No,
you're
not.
But it's so hard for all of us to come to work and see this,
It comes in waves
and drag and then leave work. So this is on our mind at the beginning of our day and at the end of our day. And I just, for the safety of all our employees and the drivers coming in and out, I had to shoo a couple people out of the driveway and, they give you attitude. And I know Sergeant Capet has said, don't talk to them because there's a new group out there. But I feel like I need to be the den mother and, move people around, get them out of the way so that our employees can continue to work and not be distracted or concerned. And so.
Well, just know from our end, when you reach out to us or you reach out to me, it's not, I never ever take it that way. I'm very thankful for your concern.
I don't want to be that way.
Oh, well, you're not. You never come off that way, Susie, whatsoever.
I know it takes a village and I appreciate everybody.
No, and you're a part of that. You're a very influential part of that. And we're very grateful for you. And like I said, it comes in waves, as we all know, because I love hearing sometimes we're like, oh, it's clear out there, it's looking good, it's looking clean.
No, we had a month
But
of good
it's
weather.
about persistency, you know, and that's why I was kind of Bart, what I was saying is like you getting that information over here to us getting out there, the city going out there, you know, like it's, you know, we're gonna continue it. We're gonna continue it. And we hope the waves come a lot less this year,
Yeah.
but the waves come, you know. But thank you. I just wanted to thank you, and you are definitely don't come off that way whenever I see your messages come through.
All right. Thank you.
We got a couple others echoing that in the chat, and I will as well. We really just need community members to let us know when issues arise, because that helps us to respond, and especially if it's an individual in crisis, it's so we can actually help them too. So,
Right.
And then maybe just an announcement that we will have a warming center tonight into the morning and
thank
into
you.
the day. So Susie, again, it's lovely to build relationships with you, and we must see how we can become good neighbors and maintain good relationships. But warming centers again tonight here at Path into the day.
And I
Thanks,
just want to
Ursula.
clarify rain beds versus warming center. And then we'll just kind of see over the weekend if the rain continues and the beds continue to be needed.
All right, so we're over time, so we'll go ahead and end the meeting for community members. Thank you all for being here. Have a great weekend. And outreach providers, if you can just stick around to see if we need to check in about anything. Thank you
Thank you,
all.
everyone.